We are looking at our last decimal place value lesson, at least for a little while. This is decimal place value lesson 4. Today we are rounding decimal numbers. In fact, we'll be answering the question, how are decimals rounded to the nearest tenth and to the nearest whole number? One question. Let's get rocking. So last week we rounded whole numbers using the rule 5 and above, give it a shove. 4 and below, down you go. So let's look back at a whole number example. And you see the number 853. Well, let's round this first to the nearest 10, which means I need to find my tens place and underline it. Okay, there's a 5 in the tens place. Let's look to the right. Okay, it's a 3. 4 and below, down you go. So 800 to the nearest 10 is going to be 850. Remember, every digit behind the underlined digit becomes a 0. Let's round this to the nearest 100 then. 853. We're down to the nearest 100, so I'm going to underline the 100. Look to the right. Oh, there's a 5 this time. 5 and above, give it a shove. We're going to round it up, shove it up to 900. Why are these zeros? Because every number behind the underlined digit is going to revert to a 0. So this week we'll be rounding decimal numbers to the nearest tenth and the nearest whole number. The good thing is you know how to do this because the process doesn't change. So if I'm going to look at 83 hundredths and I want to round it to the nearest tenth, I'm going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to go to the digit we're talking about, in this case tenths, and I'm going to underline it. Then I'm going to look to the right. Whoop, there's a 3. 3 is less than 4. 4 and below, down you go. And this becomes 80 hundredths. I also could write that as 8 tenths. So 83 hundredths rounded to the nearest tenth is 8 tenths. Now let's look at a whole number. Whole number means, well, whole numbers. In this case, in the ones place is our whole number. So I see a 2 in the whole numbers place. We're going to look to the right where there is a 6, 5 and above, give it a shove. We are going to shove it up to 3. That sounds terrible. Violence in math. We could just write plain old 3. So 2 and 65 hundredths rounded to the nearest whole number is 3. So let's work one more example. At the top of the screen you see 93 hundredths. Let's round that to the nearest tenth. Go. A 9 is in the tenths place. I need to underline that 9. There it is. Let's look to the right, and there are 3 hundredths there. 3 is less than 5. 4 and below, down you go. So this is going to round down to 90 hundredths, or 9 tenths. So 93 hundredths to the nearest tenth is 9 tenths. Now let's round to the nearest whole number. Wait a minute, there's nothing here. So the sensible thing to do is to represent the nothing that's there. Remember, when we put zeros on the front of a whole number, it doesn't change the value. This still reads 93 hundredths. But now I can quickly look back and see, whoop, there's a 9 on the other side of the decimal. The decimal doesn't matter. It's almost pretend it's not there. This 9 is 5 or bigger. So 5 and above, we give it a shove to the nearest whole number, which is going to be 1. So 93 hundredths to the nearest whole number is simply 1. If you'll pause the video a bit, then you can add this example to your notebook so you'll have it tomorrow. So what have we done today? Well, today we answered the very simple question, how are decimals rounded to the nearest tenth and the nearest whole number? If you've got questions about that question, jot it into your notebook and we can talk about it tomorrow during math. Have a fabulous afternoon.